So two things real quick before we dive into the video. First, guys, thank you so much for the 2,000 subscribers over here on YouTube. It really means the world to me. So thank you so much. And the second thing is, I want to kind of describe what this video is. Welcome to anybody who's new. This is community player feedback, where I dive into your comments and we discuss, especially around a very popular video. The other thing you probably should know, I guess, is a bonus second thing, is that I stream Fridays over on Twitch. The link is in the description. I'll be live today, this afternoon at some point, but that's the plan. I'm going to be live over on Twitch on Fridays. If you want to come hang out, should be a really good time overall. And then the final thought here, I said two things. Here's the fourth thing. Yeah, welcome to YouTube, right? The fourth thing is that, guys, I've been uploading shorts every day. If you guys feel like you like the content here and you want to support the channel, an easy way to do that, maybe go check out the shorts feed on the channel itself here. If you like those videos, liking that, it helps, I guess, within the shorts algorithm. It's a great way of introducing people to the channel itself, and that's actually what we do. I've been kind of breaking up these videos into these kind of short clips, so hopefully you guys enjoy as well. So thank you guys all for the support, for the 2,000 likes, and let's go ahead and dive into your comments. Let's have some fun with this video. That's just the part that I love about YouTube the most, is like hearing what you guys have to think. So to set up a little context, if you didn't see the Josh video, I was pissed off. You know, I'm human. That happens, right? So Josh put out a short clip over on his Clips channel saying that you should not play New World, that it's a good game, but it's not in the top 5. And that really, I was like, that logic in and of itself just frustrated the living heck out of me. If you guys want to go see me get angry and you haven't seen that video, you can go check it out. But that's what we're diving into in the comments today. So I'm gonna read your comments, we'll discuss them, and hopefully have a really good time with this video itself. So Krim says, Josh is an artist of flipping from serious opinions to trolling back to serious. He even jokes about being chaotic neutral, streamer, etc. And this stream came to a complete chaotic stream, and that was a meme in and of itself, and he did not open his statement at all. Understanding the tonal and behavioral shifts is important to try and figure out his view on things. In this clip, and what I believe is going on in the top 5 statement is that him trolling mode, because Josh completely understands that games do not need to be on top to be good. His serious statement happens at the end, where he does give his opinion that if it's on sale, it could be a good buy, but not at full price. And that comes from his own experience playing the game. Unfortunately, though, he did not go into why it is now viewed together with his troll mode statement. So in this mindset, like, this is just kind of where I'm coming from. And in the video itself, I stated, I was like, is he memeing? It feels like there's a lot of missing context. And obviously the clip was edited down, but it's still, in its edited down form, was presented to the world, right? So anybody, and here's the thing also I'm gonna kind of complain about in terms of, and I'm guilty of this, so this isn't me pointing at like other people, like this is me talking about myself, is that when it comes down to it, it's that there is the sense that you want to defend the thing that you love, right? And I feel that New World is doing the work. They're putting in the work, and I want to cheer them on. I have a bigger fear overall for the genre as a whole, that in and of itself, the social media and the dogpiling, I would like to see the dogpiling transition into a feedback mechanism. It doesn't mean that it has to be like this positive, self-lovey-dovey mindset, no, but like a feedback loop of what we think can help make the game better. When I look at the genre as a whole, when everybody, like, generally speaking, says, hey, this less than 1-year-old MMORPG is not, as it doesn't have as much content as my 15-year-old MMORPG, like, that is something that within the genre itself is concerning, because if new MMOs can't come out and can't succeed, especially with the financial backing of somebody like Amazon, then the genre itself, I'm very hesitant for its future, because unless you're like, you know, pulling a Benjamin button and you're de-aging, like, there's not a lot of youth that I am seeing that are stepping into the MMO genre. And if they are, they're still stepping into like 15 and 20-year-old games. And Final Fantasy XIV is about to cross into that 15-year threshold, which is just wild to me. And so when you see that, I think that there's a pool of interest that is starting to dry up, but new games have the potential to open up the genre more. So I feel like when it comes down to it, nobody's making the case the New World's perfect, but I think in the context of the MMOs as they exist today, it helps to actually understand and compare where games are at the same kind of time frame. And so in Josh's case, like, he uploaded that video, he posted that video, and that video in and of itself then doesn't go on to provide additional context that what is needed, right? And so yes, Josh might be memeing, he might be a meme lord, he might be chaotic neutral in this regards, but he has chosen to take and present a stance that doesn't necessarily provide it. So from a gaming perspective, there's a part that, like, you want more. You want, like, I want him to provide his insight into the game. And then yes, he talks about how it might be a good game at a discount. Any game, especially if you can get it for less, like, it's great. But still, at the same time, I just look at it from an hour per dollar level of joy, and at $40, with almost, like, if you count my PTR experience, with almost 500 hours in the game, like, that's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on Final Fantasy 14, and I don't regret any of those dollars spent. So, like, at its core, like, and I know that Josh has said if you enjoy, like, there's no such thing as wasted time if you're enjoying the time that you're spending. So I know that he's got and I've always kind of followed him, and he's got some really well thought out opinions. I just felt like this was not the best representation of the moment, because it doesn't go on to provide that level. But the context here is obviously the community coming up, like Krim, providing that is very helpful in my opinion. So thank you, Krim, for that comment. Now, Game Zone Reaction says, I think his sense of humor is lost in translation. It's kind of his showmanship way of responding. He is totally entitled to his opinion. Absolutely agree. I think that people are smart enough to make up their own mind whether or not to reinstall it and give it another go. We'll talk about that here in a second. Not that people are stupid, but there is a thread here that I want to explore. Give it a go, especially since it's free. Yeah, if you've already bought the game, it costs you absolutely nothing, and you should, especially if you're watching this video and you haven't done so yet. I think you're going to have a really good time with what exists right now, and then what's coming potentially next week. We don't have a date yet, but I'm very excited about that. I'm pretty sure that people get bored and try it time and time again, but is it hooking them like it did before? I'm guessing no. And on that note, let's break down. People are smart enough to make up their own minds whether to reinstall and give it another go. Yes, but there is also the sense that there is a reinforcement of this, and I see this, and this could be a position of, like, just how I view things as a content creator. And the comments that I see is that, generally speaking, a lot of people are like, I'll talk about New World, and people are like, wait, what? That game's still around? And then we'll have a conversation, and then they might go check it out. But they're like, all the information is generally being reinforced to them as negative. So if I talked about somebody on the high level, maybe they've only heard negative things about it, and those negative things could be well outdated. So New World has to put in a lot of work, and this is going to come into a marketing strategy. This is going to come into play in terms of, like, not just the content, but how they choose to get the word out. Now, they have an edge. One of the reasons why I think New World has a significant edge against other MMORPGs is because they have the Twitch angle. They have the ability to do more integrations with Twitch. They have that because within the company itself, like, they are all one Amazon company, all different kind of departments, but all one company in this case. So I think they have a unique benefit in terms of marketing without having to go out, and about. Like right now, there's the drops. Again, like, I'm going to be streaming. You can get some, drops for your account if you're interested in it. But I think essentially when we start to see them turn on, once they feel like the game is in a really good state, a really good presentation state, it's got a lot of different content. I think the people who are playing it or are returning to it, I'm only getting a positive feedback loop. So that's not to say that people aren't enjoying it, but I am hearing from people who are coming in and getting hooked. But I think essentially you need to have that marketing. You need to have that it's showing up more in people's feeds, and then essentially that's when people will be like, I might go check that game out again. I don't think they're lost. In fact, when I look at these games as a service games, one of the reasons why companies are spending billions and millions of dollars, Sony buying Bungie, for example, is that even though somebody might be like, this game, I'm done, I'm out, there's always the chance that you can actually get them back, and with content and time, that becomes easier. And so one of the things that will be interesting to see is what kind of advertising they end up doing, what kind of marketing, and what their strategy is going into the fall. Because I think what you would do, and here's how I would run it, is that you go into the fall, but you have a plan beyond the fall, right? We only have the roadmap up to the fall, but assuming an expansion model, it could just be the No Man's Sky model of just all these updates, and eventually you're like, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff here. But essentially, let's say they are going with the expansion model. Boom, here is the big 1 year update, marketing's turned on, but all of a sudden then that marketing is also pointing to the next big moment, the next big event, which gets people excited. You get that hype cycle and you go from there. So yeah, I think people are smart enough, but I think there has to be a narrative shift. And in content creation, there has to be a shift that is like, there's an incentive system that's broken here, in my opinion, where the creators, like, who might be willing to talk about the game and share a positive perspective, they like don't have the energy to deal with the negativity. The algorithm isn't going to, benefit them in any way. So they're going to work, especially if they're a career YouTuber, like they're going to focus in on what helps them get paid, what helps keep their lights on. And I'm not judging them for that by any means. Like, if you put in the work and you've built the community and you have the ability to do this as a full time, it's not what I'm actually looking to do. But if you had that functionality, yeah, like you are going to be limited in your choices, because there ends up becoming more of a risk to you until that shifts, until that narrative shifts, and then where people are more positive. And I think that actually is going to be driven off of AGS. I think AGS has to turn on the marketing faucets and dollars. Again, all this is prefaced on having the game in such a state that it's like, this is a really good example, and guess what? Here's where we're going next. And that's essentially where I think you start to see the narrative and the conversation shift, but only time will tell in that regards. But thank you, Game Zone, for that great comment. Now, Donovan says, I interpreted Josh's statement about New World not breaking into the top 5 as New World not being at the level of quality and polish that the top 5 are at, not just by player count and popularity, but that it's just not worth investing your time in New World when there's still several potential better alternatives. This makes a lot of sense, because when it comes down to it, like, should you play New World or should you play Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft or Guild Wars 2 or ESO? Like, there is massive amounts of competition out there in this space alone. And then within the MMO genre, like, it is this statement now that is so broad and encompassing of multiple different styles of games. Like, it really isn't, like, we really should come up with a better self-contained labeling system within the genre as a whole, because like, you have MMO Lite, you have MMORPG, like you have player-driven economies, and you have kind of instanced loot, kind of different systems. So there's a wide range that play it here. So all that being said, comes down to the idea that within the genre itself, a lot of people are going to want to find different things, and it's your money, and you should absolutely put it where you want, right? It's up to New World to invite you back in. That's been the entire test the entire time. I personally am just like absolutely in love with this game. Like, there is just something here that I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it feels like there's a magic that they have captured that speaks to me. It's not that it's going to translate to you. And I'm excited to see that magic grow and be refined, and these systems kind of come together. And it just excites me to no end, because I think there's a great amount of potential that could be had here. So all that being said is that, like, when it comes down to being in the top 5, if that's what you're looking for, yeah, I would say there's a lot of really good games out there in terms of the MMOs that you should absolutely go try and play. In terms of community, in terms of like, yes, I want to go play where there's a lot of people, so I have a lot of potential for those interactions. Yeah, like New World is definitely not the largest MMO RPG out there. In terms of if you are wanting to be a part of a game and provide feedback and help drive and steer a game so that it can be the best that it can be and help build the community, then that's essentially kind of what I enjoy, right? Like, and obviously I have a track record with this, like as a 1.0 player, Final Fantasy 14, like this is something, I guess, that if you look at me as a content creator, this is something that I really enjoy. And there's a connectivity here, and there's just this level of excitement of what the potential for New World has. And so for me, it's worth my time. My concern is that if you are also like that, but you're holding yourself back because of negativity or the fear of the unknown, I would recommend it to try and get past that fear and absolutely dive into the game and enjoy it as best as you can. Side Drake says, good video, love the passion, love Josh's stuff too. He is definitely a guy who knows how to make good content, and sometimes one just needs to make good content. In the 1 minute reaction that Josh does here, it was a good laugh, but for a punchline, and that seems to be it. But we all like what we like, and vice versa. Content is king, as they say. Heck, I come from Twitter because of your comment saying you get heated in this one. Good content, good video. Well, thank you very much, Side Drake. I appreciate you checking out this video itself. And yes, like that was the core thing of just the whole piece. It's like, it was only a minute, but it was also still posted, right? Like, it was posted to the point where you like the poster feels good about the piece of content that's going out. And in my mind is that I look at it in terms of what is the better value, and the better value would have been having that minute and then maybe going into kind of a conversation about what would be really, how we would like to see New World improve, right? Like, I wanted more, and that the video didn't offer that to me, and it didn't offer a way to go and kind of find that because it was edited. And so maybe I could have, done a little bit more and done a deep dive, but it was doing a reaction. So you got my real raw mindset. And when it comes down to that, he chose to present a minute's worth of content, and I chose to react to that minute of content. And that's the moment that we had, in that regards. But yeah, like, I love what, like, the fact that he loves MMOs and he wants to talk about them. I'm all for it. I'm always going to support people who want to put their opinions and ideas out there. So yeah, I'm not about hating on anybody. DPS Perch says, a great video. You literally made me laugh out loud when you said, I don't know why I didn't see this comment earlier. I don't think it would be difficult for New World to get into the top 5. I don't think MMOs are as popular as people think. I think this is true. I think that there's this mindset that when you look at what World of Warcraft did, is it was positive and negative, and in the long run of it, like, it's going to take a long time to get past how people view it. I think World of Warcraft really hurt the genre by like how it tried to hold on to the subscribers. So it was very accessible. It was allowed people to jump in who had never been able to before, and it grew the genre like a lightning bolt. They captured lightning in a bottle. And then what they did was then they did everything they could to hold on to those numbers, because that number meant a lot of money. And then I think they foundationally changed how people are conditioned to view MMORPGs. And thus, I think MMOs have suffered greatly at the hands of World of Warcraft based off of their decisions that they've made. Now, we're in a whole new era. We're getting into what I call the third age of MMORPGs. And I think it's just going to be a function of time and investment. But even still, WoW is going to hold on to you. Like, if you've been burned by WoW, like, you will be tempted by Dragonflight, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging you for enjoying the games that you want to play. Hell, go do it, But when I look at what WoW has done and the mindset of the consumption and the rushing and the racing to the level cap, like, when New World came out, I was like, guys, the end game starts at level 1. If you step into New World with the idea that the end game begins at level 1, you're going to have an amazing time. This game is going to be great, because if you're rushing, which a lot of people did, you're going to get to the end and then you're going to be like, wait, what's going on? All right. Like, there's not too much here, and there wasn't enough there. Right. And that's the problem. And like, you could say, okay, they should have launched with like all this extra content. Honestly, I think the best thing to do is to put the game out there and to get real feedback, and to struggle and to fight and to claw and to change and to evolve. That is the most important thing overall, in my opinion. All right, we'll jump into one last comment because I don't want this video to be too long. If you guys want these to continue on, whether this video and we just want to keep deep diving down y'all's comments, let me know. We can do more videos like this. But yeah, I don't want I'm try to keep videos somewhat entertaining and moving along as opposed to like, and that was 10 hours. The reason you want to play an MMO in the top 5 is the same reason you generally want to use the top 5 social media, your access to more to wider variety of social interactions. It's the M in the MMORPG that we're after. If you wanted to distilled raid content, there are games like Trend and Yesh, which give you an experience with 3 friends. It's still in early development, but it's going great. It's the other way around, man. You're upset that so many people are focusing on the massive part of MMORPGs when what they really want about it is the MMORPG. Absolutely agree. And that's fine. But there isn't anything wrong with judging a game to be superior because of the size of its player base. If I recall correctly, you made a claim that 14 was better for Asmon's exposure because it exposed more people to Eorzea, but which both adds support for the devs and also increases the number of people interacting with the game. Well, that definitionally means that there's an alternative universe where 14 has less players and the game is in worse state, which I don't think is in dispute. I don't believe in a multiverse, so Anyway, believes that which in dispute. I don't mean to be overly critical or harsh, but it seems to me that you are upset that Josh and others won't carry or cater for New World because New World could be in a lot better position if they did. And Josh had repeatedly said that he won't ever be kind to a game to help it. He will only say what he believes in the moment, and that what he feels is perfectly honest, even if he's wrong. Now, I'm perfectly fine if he wants to speak, and honesty is the best thing. I don't want anybody to be like, oh, like I don't want people to lie, etc. And Josh, and from his point and to this point here, it's like, it's not Josh's responsibility to make New World better. However, if you want the genre to be better, if you want the game to be better, but yet you don't use you don't tell anybody like what it is, and you just rant on like things like Reddit, like I have bad news for you. But if you do want it to be better, then there is a part of that I enjoy as that relationship with the devs. If the devs actively care and listen, which I think the devs here are doing that, then there becomes that really great relationship, and the game can get better from that. And I think everybody wins. Like as a 1.0 legacy player, like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, the legacy players, they really help make the game, continue on and support it, so that there is a 2.0 and a 3.0. And so that's something that it means a lot to me, and I was glad I was there for that. And I'm glad for the improvements that happened in the game. Now, when it comes to 14, like I wasn't making the argument that bigger means best, right? But bigger does mean some more support. In 14's case, Asmon exposing more people to the game helps also bring in a wider range of opinions. One of the things that I find in one of my critiques of 14 as somebody who has been and covering this game, since it was announced, comes down to the idea that there has been this, in a way, cabal or kind of forming of some kind of distributed group that suppresses feedback. And I feel like there's only been one level of feedback that's really floating up, because people tell me like, oh man, I would love it if 14 was able to do this or that, but I'm not going to go post it on the forums because they're just going to get destroyed. And so they just avoid it. So there's a part that has been, the community has been silenced from that feedback, and so it ends up only incentivizing one train of thought. New World has a feature in the game itself that you can go submit whatever you want, and no one's commenting on it. No one's following it up to tell you you're an idiot. And whether your feedback is good or bad, I still think it should get to the devs, and they should analyze it, and they should think about it from who you are as a player. I think when it comes down to it, kind of a law of statistical averages from that, just a pure scientific approach, I think more data is better. Not necessarily do they need to take action on every line of feedback that they get, but they need to have that at least roll up so they can understand what's coming in. And I think a lot of things end up going into the, vocal minority kind of category, and thus you see games kind of evolve, and then ultimately everybody wakes up and they're like, what happened? Everything sucks. Well, it's because only one line of feedback is actually getting through, because you have this defense horse. And 14's not the only game that's guilty of this, but I like that New World's doing that, and I like its evolution. Now, when it comes down to it, yeah, 14's better off for having people. New World, if you tell me New World just dropped below the floor right now, just under 200,000 players a month. Would that be great if it was at 1 million? Abso-freaking-lutely. Would people still dog it if that was the case? Yes, because they don't yet know what the vision is. They don't yet trust Amazon, and it's the safe bet. I'm willing to throw myself, and have in video form in public ways to say I think that there's something here, and I'm going to take the odds against me that this is going to become something amazing, because I feel like it can, and I hope that it does. And honestly, the only way to know is with time. And that's why I was like, I'm going to put these thoughts out, I'm going to share these thoughts here so that they're there, because I stand by them. And rather than, come back in a couple of years and be like, oh, hey, they turned it around. I knew they would. Yeah. And no, it's like I said that they would. I hope that they do. And it's going to be a journey. So anyway, lots more great comments, obviously, here on this video. Sorry we couldn't do all of these. Like I said, I wanted to try to keep these somewhat reasonable in length, and I appreciate you guys for hanging out. Let me know what you guys think in this comments. Maybe we'll just continue this conversation going here into the future in perpetuity. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you have a great and wonderful day. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care.
Yeah. It's time to chill out on the couch and read some comments. That's right. You know me when it comes to destiny. I'm off with a clan, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Oh yeah.